Growing $200,000 a month was a painful process. And today I want to share with you 5 things I would do differently, 5 mistakes, 5 regrets, whatever you want to call it. If I was starting to get today, here's what I would do differently. If you want to connect, send me a message on Instagram at David Stultz. Let's get into the video. The first mistake I would say that I made when starting and growing my agency was getting taken away by too many distractions. There's 2 memorable pieces that come to mind in terms of things that really took away my attention from what they should have been on. Something I'll talk about at the end of the video. The first one was these sweatshirts. I thought it would be a great idea, maybe an extra revenue stream for us, to create some sweatshirts that had the word home with the state of Maine in the O. And I thought this is gonna be cool, like this would be great for our brand. And I think all the things did justify why we did it, and it made sense to me, and I think in theory. But the time it took me to get these going and to set things up and to figure out shipping labels when we really didn't sell hardly any, it was not well spent. And the second one for me is the studio space. We got the cyc wall here. It's a pretty big cyc wall. And for me, when we finally got around to being able to have a studio space or even a storage area, I thought, what could we do? What's gonna be awesome? And of course I started looking at studios, and I saw a cyc wall and I was like, this would be the coolest thing ever. I didn't really logically think through what do we need as an agency? What's gonna be the best fit for our clients, for the type of content we wanna shoot, and all those kind of things. And so that definitely took more time and more money than it should have, because we use it for some projects, but we don't use it a whole lot. A few practical living room style sets would have been much more utilized and better utilized. And so there have been a whole list of things that have come up over the time that I've been running the agency that have just distracted me, that have been good ideas, or they could have been good ideas, or there was a way for me to justify it, but ultimately it was a waste of time from what I really should have been focused on.
Wish I didn't waste your time.
Is there a better place?
Let it go. Never had the chance to find.
The second mistake I would say that I made scaling my agency was financial. And that's pretty broad, but we're here in front of a development, one of the first developments we shot, and I significantly underpriced our rate for shooting content here. But the real financial stumbling block for me was the off season. The first year going into the off season, the first full year, we had a great year. We had some money in the bank, but I didn't expect to carry the costs of the team. I didn't think about the costs of software, and the biggest one was taxes. If you don't think about some of these things in off season, if you don't prepare ahead of time, it'll give you some sleepless nights. And that's what I felt. And that was the biggest mistake on my end financially, was not preparing for the off season. A second one related to finances is your bookkeeping. If you are not keeping track of your expenses and staying organized financially in something like QuickBooks, you're not gonna know even how much money you have or how much you're spending or how much you're making. And if you don't know those things, it's gonna be impossible for you to run the business well and make sure that you're making money. Point number 3 is training. We're here at a coffee shop where I do a lot of one-on-ones with people on the team here. This is not only one of the mistakes I made, but I think one of the biggest mistakes most agency owners make is poorly training and prepping your team, and even managing your team. Because once you hire on, you're stepping out of the primary photographer role, and now you are a manager, and your team is representing your business to your clients. And I didn't get this at first. I didn't really train well, and I almost sent my first hire to a job on their own on their first day. They'd trained with me a couple days, but such a no-no. And the unfortunate piece is that it's expensive to train people well, to have them on your team, to pay them before they're helping, bring in revenue for the business. But that's just part of it. To buy the gear, to train them well, to make sure that they can deliver the same content quality as you can to your clients. It's huge, because if that can't happen, you'll lose clients, you'll lose value, you'll lose credibility. So super, super important. One more thing I want to say. What was it? Now there's no better compliment than when I hear from one of our clients that everyone on the team is so great. You have such a high standard of the point I forgot. Even people who've shot real estate photography before still need to be trained, because your style, your approach is going to be different. Don't assume that even if someone has experience that they're a well-qualified person on your team. You got to train them, you got to bring them in, share about your vision, share about your mission, how you do things. That's all important stuff. Training is huge, and one of the things that I fell short on when I got started. Mistake number 4, I would say, is our systems. And this was actually a weakness, which has now kind of become a strength. But we're here by the container port right off of the water in Portland. And I feel like this represents systems well. And when I first started and I made a hire, I thought everyone's going to think like me. I never owned a camera, but I learned it. And I'm sure everyone will over communicate like I do and think a few steps ahead. And not that our team didn't think well, but no one thinks like me, and that's something I had to learn. And so we went from just a Google Doc of login instructions and here's how you do this, to well-documented SOPs with video tutorials to explain how we do everything. And well-designed systems have made all of the difference, and I've come to learn how powerful systems are if you actually want to grow your agency. Because without it, people really don't know what to do. And even when you have your big processes documented, as you grow, if there's something little that isn't well documented, it'll slip through the cracks, and then it'll happen again and again and again. Eventually clients will be upset and people are coming to you for all these questions. So it felt like death by 1,000 little cuts at one point. So I buckled down, I made systems, I got really detailed and documented how we do the things that we do. And it's made all the difference for our agency. The 5th mistake I feel like I've made as I've been growing the agency is not sticking to the vision that I've had, and I might even say not holding a strong enough vision for what I have for the agency. And I'm just going to talk about a couple pieces along the way, because I don't think vision is really quite as straightforward as it seems to be on the surface of, oh, I've got a vision for this agency or this business. But the reality is, when most of us start out here, I know that was the case for me, I didn't really know where I wanted to go. And it can take some time to figure out exactly which direction you're going in before you can identify your goal here. And that's okay. It takes time. And so this time here is well worth it. And sometimes, like for me, I knew I wanted to add value to the clients I was working with, but I didn't really know what that even looked like. And so I spent time doing some different things before I actually figured out what I really wanted to do. And then you might get here and figure out, do I want to stay solo or do I want to try to grow big? And again, that's going to change your goal. But that's okay. So I think you need to allow yourself some grace as you figure out really where you want to go. But the important thing is when you lock on and say, all right, I want to grow big. From here on out, you know where you want to go. And as entrepreneurs, as creatives, oftentimes we can get distracted. The most important thing here is to be patient and disciplined, pursuing the vision that you have. And I don't feel like I did that very well at times. I would get distracted, and then I would even say at times my vision was too vague. And when that happened to me, when I didn't have a clear enough vision on what we really wanted to offer, our progress slowed because I wasn't as motivated to advance because I didn't really know where I was going. The team had grown to a few shooters, the business was doing pretty well, and I feel like I kind of lost the clarity of our goal, and perhaps I didn't even really define it. And I think that takes sitting down with someone or doing some serious self-reflection and saying, where am I going and why? If you don't have anything driving you, it's really hard to motivate you to make progress, especially when things get easy. For me, when I started way back here, a few weeks after I started my business, we found out my wife was pregnant, probably a couple months. So I was super, super motivated to make it work. But then when I got over to here, the pressure was off. The business was rolling and we stopped making progress. And I feel like I didn't have a really strong vision. For us, the vision has grown a lot clearer, and that has helped immensely help me continue to grow and allocate my time on the things that matter. If we don't have something that's really calling our attention or driving us forward, our time is going to get split. And that's not how you grow. You grow by having a really strong goal and being patient and disciplined to move toward the goal. A lot of the times that's doing some really boring things. And the cool thing about this is that I've learned so much about what it means to have a vision for where I want to go and how to get there. A lot of times it's not exciting. It's doing the things you don't really want to do. But what allows you to sit down and focus yourself and get those things done is being driven by the vision that you have for your business, for your agency. So I think that was one of my biggest mistakes was just not really understanding what it looked like to pursue a vision. And that is evident in the first two items I mentioned in the studio and the sweatshirts. So this has really been a big area of growth for me and something I am very passionate about now. And I'm continuing to really understand this and internalize this, which has been a great process. So if you're interested in working with me or learning more, or I can answer any questions, comment on the video, reach out to me. I'd love to help. I hope this has been helpful. Talk to you soon.